And let's start to write the code for the traffic light system we want to implement. So as you can see, I am starting from a blank project with nothing on it, and I'm going to first include the previous classes that we have written, and then add a traffic light class on top of that to create the functionalities that are specific to the traffic light. And for this last class for the project, we are going also to go step by step. Okay, each step is basically one video, and for each step, that's very important, we are going to make something that at least compiles and better, that can produce a real result that we can visualize ourselves. Okay, that's a very good practice when you develop with object-oriented programming, and in programming in general, create small features that you can test directly, and then once it's working, then go to the next feature. So here, I am going to first save this, save as, let's say, traffic light. So this is the traffic light project, and I'm going to go to Sketch, Show Sketch folder. And so for now, the sketch only contains the main file, which is the ino file. I'm going to go back to the Arduino folder where I have my previous project. And I am going to go to the LED blinker, okay, to take the LED class and the LED blinker class. So make sure you take the LED from the LED blinker, because we have actually modified the LED class, okay? So if you take the LED class from one of the previous parts of the project, that's not going to work because you don't have the complete interface and implementation. So I select LED and LED blinker, both CPP and header file. Now Control C, let's go to the traffic light, Control V, and I'm going back again to the push button project, and I take the push button class, Control C, Control V, and I get my three classes. So now I can restart the Arduino IDE. Okay, great. Now I have my LED class, LED blinker, push button in my project. And I'm going to now create the new class, which is traffic light. So again, new tab here, which I'm going to name TrafficLight.h. Press enter, and I am going to add also a new tab, TrafficLight.cpp. Okay, and here you can see I can toggle between the different files of my project. So now we start to have quite a few files, right? So I'm going to go to TrafficLight.h first. And for this step, I'm going to create the structure of the class, as well as put the attributes for the different classes that we need here. So the LED, LED blinker and push button, and also create the constructor. So we can just, in the main program, create the class. Okay, it's not going to do anything, but we can already create objects actually for the traffic light class. So first thing to do is, of course, the header guard. So if ndef, let's name it traffic_light_h, define, and exact same thing, ndif. Now I can do class traffic light. So let's name it traffic light, okay? Curly brackets, and don't forget the semicolon. Super important here. Okay, and now I'm going to directly add private colon public colon. Okay, so the structure of the class is here. And now what I'm going to do something similar than what we did with the LED blinker. Okay, so in the LED blinker class, you have here one attribute which is actually not just a standard data type. This is an attribute which is actually from another class, okay, which is a LED class, okay. So we are going to do the same thing for the traffic light class. We are going to do the same process here to include the different components. So I'm going to put them private, and I'm first going to create. So I need 3 LEDs. I need to be able to control the 3 LEDs of the traffic light. So I'm going to create an LED here class that I'm going to name red LED. So here we will have, in fact, an LED object called red LED, and then LED yellow LED and LED green LED. Okay, so naming them with their color will actually be super convenient. Okay, so we can directly know there is no confusion. Okay, we know this is the red one, the yellow, and the green one. And because I use the class LED here, I need to include quote LED.h. So I include the header file which contains the interface of the LED class. And then I will also need to add an LED blinker, okay? Because as you could see in the demo, one step for the traffic light is to make the green LED blink, okay? So I'm going to name it green LED blinker. And because I use LED blinker, include LED blinker.h. Okay, so I include the header file. And then I will need the push button, okay, to be able to toggle between the states. So I create push button, and same thing, I include the push button header file. And then, so I'm going also to need a potentiometer, as you could see, but this potentiometer, we are going to implement this later. Okay, we don't have the class already. So we are going to do this later and add it later in this project. Right, so now we have this and I can create the constructor. So I'm going to create TrafficLight. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is to create a default constructor which is empty, which doesn't do anything. I'm going to say do not use again. Because actually the real constructor that we are going to use, TrafficLight, is the constructor where we are going to give a reference to each of the objects here. So we can assign all the objects to all the attributes here. So we are going to create, as we did before for the LED blinker class, if you remember, we are going to create the object separately outside of the class and then give a reference to the objects to the traffic light object that we are going to create. So the traffic light will get a reference to all the other objects here and store them as private attribute. So we have quite a few things to do here. And I'm going to go to a new line here so we just don't have a line here that is too long. So LED, we have the red LED, and then LED, yellow LED, LED, green LED. So as you can see, for each parameter, I use the class type and then a reference to the object, and I just named the object the same. Here the parameter is the same also as the name, so I will need to use this in the implementation. So red LED, yellow LED, green LED. Let's go back to new line. LED blinker, green LED blinker. Then we have the push button with button, okay, and that's it for now. Okay, so as you can see, if you feel that it's going to be too long here in the line, just go back to a new line. Okay, so just after the parentheses or just after a comma. So you can break down into many lines and that's not going to be a problem. Great, so now the header file seems to be good. I'm going to copy this and put this in the TrafficLight.cpp. And first of all, I'm also not going to forget to include TrafficLight.h. So I include the header file. And now let's actually make this better. So I need to add TrafficLight another time here with colon. And then what I can do here, remove the semicolon, go back to new line, open and close curly brackets. Let's make them here. Okay, and just for readability, if you want, you can add just a few more indentations. That's not going to be a problem. Okay, and now what do we do? Well, that's very simple. We just assign each parameter to the private attribute of the class. With this, red LED is equal to red LED. So this red LED is that attribute, and red LED here corresponds to the object we get from the parameter, and we actually get a reference to the object. So we don't copy the object, okay, we get just a reference to the same object. And also this red LED, this yellow LED is equal to yellow LED, this green LED is equal to green LED. Same thing for, let's just copy that. Same for green LED blinker. Same for button. All right. So now with this, just with this, we are going to be able to create a traffic light object, okay, because we have the structure, we have the minimum attributes we need to give, and we have a constructor. So we are not going to initialize the pins and everything in this step. We're just going to create the object. So we are just going to basically create the structure also of the main program. So here, to be able to create a traffic light object, I first need to create some LEDs objects, and then to create an LED blinker object, and to create a push button object. So I need to also include in the main file all the header files I'm going to use. So LED blinker.h, then include push button.h, include TrafficLight.h. Okay, and now I can create. So let's start from the beginning. LED, so let's name it red LED. And so let's go back here. I need to give a pin number. So instead of hard coding this, I am going also to create a define. So red LED pin, which is pin number 11, and then define yellow LED pin. So this is 10, and define green LED pin number 9. Let's just define also the button pin on pin number 2. So now I can do this, create the red LED, I create the yellow LED with the yellow LED pin, I create the green LED with the green LED pin, I create, so I have my 3 LEDs, I can create my LED blinker, which is the green LED blinker. So I need to give the green LED, okay, so that's why I've created this before. And let's go to the LED blinker.h. So we can just use the constructor here with just the LED, or also give a blink delay. I'm going to give a blink delay of 100 milliseconds. And finally, let's create the traffic light. So traffic light, let's name it traffic light like this, with lowercase to start with. And so what do we need to give here in the order? The red LED, yellow, green, the green LED blinker, and the button. So just the same order as we have created the object here. And so I'm going to give this here red LED, yellow LED, green LED. Let's go back to a new line. So let's actually do this, okay, for more readability. And then, so green LED blinker. And actually, well, I forgot to add the push button here, so let's add a push button. Let's name it button. And let's go to the header file. So we need to give the pin, and then if it is pull up, and if we use the internal pull up. So pin number button pin, we use the pull up mode, and we also use the internal pull up. So if you use a different circuit for the button, okay, make sure that you change this accordingly. Okay, and now I can do button. Okay, great. We have all of the objects which are created and which are calling the different constructors from the different classes. So what I can do, I can just verify the call to check if it compiles. Okay, done compiling. So if you have any error here, make sure to fix those before you continue. And now, so there is nothing to test here because we just have created a class. So we have an object TrafficLight which contains different other objects representing hardware components or functionality, but it's not doing anything yet. So the only thing we can do to check is to make sure it compiles. And now we are going to add the functionalities for the TrafficLight class.